Alrighty, internet gremlins. Today we're looking at this Reddit post by random user. I don't care enough to say their name. And they're just saying, where can I practice Linux for free online? I want to learn Linux, but not sure where I can practice. Can anyone suggest the best way here? This question, I read it and I was like, what is happening? This is kind of a dumb question. And I'll explain why. Here's why it's a dumb question. Install Linux on a computer at your house. That's how you should practice it. And I mean, like, some of these aren't like terrible ideas. They're like, oh, Oracle has a free tier, whatever. Just like, get a computer. So then I was like, okay, well, maybe you can't find great computers. This would be super overkill for testing, but like $90, super awesome computer. This would be great for running even servers on even, and that also ties into another point, servers. But where can I practice Linux? Realistically, what you should be doing, use proxmox. If you're like a Linux Puritan, like kind of like Luke Smith gang, and you're like, ooh, I can't even look at system D and I die. Like, I've ran Arctics. I ran a Arctic system with the S6 init system, and it was like, yeah, it was cool. I guess it was less quote unquote bloated, but like system D is just what the world's built around. It's just easier to use system D. Anyways, so if you're not trying to be some Linux Puritan and like, oh, everything has to be the Unix philosophy, what you can do, grab yourself a copy of proxmox, spend a couple of dollars, and since this is overkill, you could probably come in around like the $40 mark for a fine machine. And I guess I should probably label what fine would be. This CPU is going to be like, I don't know, probably 8 cores. I don't know if it says. But realistically, you could do it with a 2-core CPU. That might be a little under. Looked for like a quad-core CPU, somewhere above 2 gigahertz and like 8 gigs of RAM if you're like super budget, right? And that would be fine. And that would you could find a super cheap computer following those specs. Like 16 gigs would be super nice. That's gonna be like the first thing you probably run into an issue with, is not having enough RAM. This is also not a massive hard drive. I'd try and go larger than that, but beggars can't be choosers. So anyways, you have proxmox and you're like, oh, but it's so complicated. Literally get over it. Like, that sounds so harsh, but like, yeah, it's complicated. But it's like not though. You're working on a computer, so it's quote unquote complicated. It's just because you don't know what you're doing. Like driving a modern car, I feel like is more complicated than this. Like, have you seen the amount of dials modern cars have? Anyways, is why I went buy a modern car. So this is simple. I mean, they literally just color blue. Create VM. We can name it like testing for the video. There we go. It would have you upload a ISO, but whatever what's it called? Whatever video you follow to install proxmox will probably show you how to upload an ISO, and that's all fine. You can increase that a little bit, and if you don't know what I was increasing, I wouldn't really worry about it. Basically all I was doing was giving it 2 CPU cores and an extra 2 gigs of RAM, just so it would boot faster. Since we're going to be running, I chose an ISO that has a GUI on it. I should have set this to Spice as well. Display Spice. That makes it a bit nicer, but it's not super important for that to be Spice or anything. So if we bring this to a new tab, we can sit here and wait for a second. But I guess while we're waiting, the other thing we can talk about while we're here, when I mentioned this would work great, is servers. First of all, it's super tiny, so even if you're like in an apartment, you can literally just like slip this on top of your normal desktop. Or if you don't have a desktop, maybe you only have a laptop, or maybe you're just like an iPad kid or something, I don't know. You can literally just like put this on a bookcase and you wouldn't notice that it's there. Granted, it's no Wi-Fi, so you need Ethernet at your house. That's not the point. Anyways, you should be running servers at your house. And maybe that would be a different video, but proxmox is our answer for that problem as well. And look at this. We clicked over. So this VM, this tab I'm running, which you can see is running GNOME, Excuse me. So this is an entirely another operating system because, I'm running, or I think I have fast fetch installed. I'm running Endeavor OS. Look at that, very beautiful. Which is an Arch-based system. That's another thing you should probably do when everyone's yelling at you, like, you need to use Ubuntu. Like, yeah, I use Ubuntu for servers, but like, Arch is actually easier than Ubuntu. It's just all like the Linux Puritans use Arch, and so they like gatekeep it. It's actually easier than Ubuntu generally. For your main machine. Servers, yeah, it's probably easier to be Ubuntu. But anyways, you just install it and it's easy. And then we can break this. Like if we do minimal and don't download. Yep. This will install for a second. Winnipeg sounds great. Everything's will log in automatically, which I wouldn't do for a normal machine, but since this is on your local network, it doesn't matter. You can use abysmal security and it's fine. If you're like using what those people were recommending in that Reddit post, so like, oh, where'd that Reddit post go? Use Amazon or Oracle's free tier. Like, yes, that answers the question, but this is kind of an XY question. So you're asking X, and so they're answering X, but really the problem you have is Y, and I'm solving Y for you. You want a machine that you can break, and it doesn't matter if you break it. Boom, run them for free on your home network, and you don't have to worry about getting hacked, because if you get hacked and then your VM, your virtual machine up in the cloud, which as the meme says is just another person's computer, but this other person's computer everyone else can poke at. So if you're operating in the cloud and you get hacked, then that device might start becoming part of a botnet, and then Amazon will send you a letter and be like, hey, you messed your stuff up, and then you're going to get all discouraged because you're going to be like, oh, I got hacked, and then you're going to stop learning because you got scared. Which is not like, you're not wrong for doing that, it's just what's going to happen. And like, it's okay, but we might as well have you learn in a not scary environment. And like, if you're like, I'm a big boy, I don't get scared, like, that's not the point. You will get scared when a massive company sends you a letter being like, hey, fix your stuff. And they're not going to be like nice about it. They're a massive company that like, the people they deal with are other massive companies. We can skip this. Stop trying to update. Anyways, this may take too long, but Ubuntu is easy enough to install if you're looking for a GUI. If you're actually planning on using a device, like installing directly into your laptop or desktop, I would recommend probably Endeavor OS, because it's Arch based, and that will be easier because you have more packages, which just make it easier, because Ubuntu you're going to end up building stuff yourself, and it will just not go well, and you'll be like, this is a painful experience, because yes, Ubuntu is a painful experience. It's like, yes, you are correct, this sucks. So use an Arch based system. Anyways, use your own hypervisor at your house, such as proxmox. Grab a cheap machine like I showed you on eBay, and then you solve all these problems.